Hi, so today's video is how is it profitable to have a show? And I'm going to give you the conclusions first. So I'm about to have a show, and I think that if things go the way that I predict things will go, I'll probably be making around $3,000 to $4,000 off of the show. And it's a show in San Francisco at a bar, not at a gallery, and the bar is not taking a percentage of the cost of the sales. So that's why I was able to calculate it out, and I know that I would be making around $3,000, maybe $4,000 if I'm kind of lucky, considering what my sales track record has been, and that's selling about 3 or 4 paintings out of 9 paintings that are in the gallery, and it's going to be at the Lone Star Bar and Saloon in San Francisco, and the reception is Thursday the 28th. But in any event, if I was working with a gallery, I worked out those numbers using a calculation and a spreadsheet. And I figured out that if I was working with a gallery, and galleries usually take about 50%, I would probably only be making around $900, maybe $1,000 if I was lucky. And this coincides with the blog post that I did years ago. And I will provide a link to it underneath the video in the description, where it's an essay I wrote probably around 2016, and it's why I almost exclusively sell with just using the internet and using Etsy and selling online. All right, so what I want to do is go over numbers, which is kind of complicated, and I hand wrote everything out. But what I want to do is talk about the costs of having a gallery show and what people don't talk about when you're in art school and how these costs work out. So first of all, the supplies are the biggest cost for any art show that you'll ever have. And the initial outlet or output of the capital, I have it sort of broken down for these 9 paintings. And if you look at the diagram, the canvases for the large canvases cost around $63 each. For smaller canvas panels, they can go as low as $6, but the amount of paint that I use is often between $30 and $20. And then to ship the painting to the person who buys the painting, because usually I'm responsible for that. It depends. If you're working with a gallery, they're supposed to be responsible for that, so that kind of works out. But in any event, the total cost of supplies and shipping for me to make the 9 paintings for the show that I'm going to have costed out to be $968. So about $1,000 to make 9 paintings, and some of them are pretty big. Now that's not so bad, okay? But now to get the work to the gallery, or the bar in this instance, would cost me around $487. I use an art shipper because some of the paintings are 36 by 48. I have a Mini Cooper, so I can't load them in there. I could rent a car, but there's something kind of scary about shipping art, parking in a sort of busy neighborhood and moving the art in and out. So I hire an art shipper, and the art shipper that I talked to, when I told him I was going to be cooperative, and you can see the emails that I have, the cost of it dropped, and so I'm being very conservative about the costs and being low about the costs for the show, so I'm not so discouraging. That was around $487. Now, I also, for almost every art show that I've ever had, I've had to print out flyers or catalogs myself and design them myself. And a catalog, like a really nice catalog, can cost, I'll show you one. This catalog can cost probably, for around 500 copies, around $1,000, okay? And I designed those myself, so if you hired a designer, a catalog like this could cost you $3,000 to $5,000. Okay, it cost me around $1,000 to print off because I use a company called Ad Graphics. So I designed a little trifold flyer that I'm going to have at the bar so that people will be able to buy directly from me, and I have what are they called, QR codes or VR codes, something like that, on the flyer so that they can actually scan it, and I have a poster that I'm printing for the wall. So the printing cost me around $124, and that includes delivery. So the total capital that I've outlaid for the show, just to get the show into the gallery and to have a catalog, and don't forget, sometimes you actually have to hire people to hang the show. If you are working with a commercial gallery, they'll hang it themselves. But sometimes you have to hang it yourself. In this instance, the owner of the bar is going to hang the show for me. So the total capital was $1,579. Okay? So I figured out, like, in a ideal perfect world, if I had a sellout show and I sold all 9 paintings, I would make around $16,000 or $17,000, and that's pretty good. And if I deducted my overhead costs for the supplies and the shipping, and even the shipping to the client who buys the painting, the collector, I would get around $15,000. But like I told you before, I actually only count on selling maybe 3 or 4 of the paintings from the show, and I really only expect, even deducting the costs, around $3,400 for this show. And if you think about, in order to pay rent and live in any kind of city, most people need to make $60,000 to $70,000 a year. It's not a living wage to be an artist. So I'm just kind of letting you know what's going on. So let's say that I had a total sales of $15,296, and I made, and I sold out the entire show. If I was working with a commercial gallery, they would take 50% of that. So that means each of us would get between $7,000 to $8,000 for the entire show. And this is why a lot of galleries fail, because it's really expensive to pay rent on a commercial space. So they're charging you 50% in order to try to cover their overhead. And if your work isn't selling out and isn't selling for high prices, well, then that's going to be a problem. So that's the other issue about my sales and my shows. And I just got an email from somebody today, a message on Facebook, where he said you should raise your prices. And I actually wrote back to the guy and I said, hey, if I raise my prices another $100, will you finally buy one? Because all these people who don't buy art are telling me, oh, your art is so inexpensive, it's so cheap, why don't you sell it for more? But these aren't the people who are buying the art. So this is kind of an interesting conundrum, that people are always telling me I undervalue myself and that I should charge more, but then those aren't the people who are buying it. And the people who buy from me appreciate the fact that I keep the prices at a reasonable level. So pricing is probably another video that I should make in the future. But a couple of other things to talk about in terms of the costs of having a gallery show, which a lot of art teachers and art schools don't talk about, and other people, is the psychological cost. Like, for instance, my art shipper, after he dropped off the paintings, sent me this text yesterday that basically said, the bar owner mentioned to the guy who dropped off the paintings that he should hang the show, or he was supposed to hang the show. And so I had like about a 10-minute to 20-minute freak out trying to get in touch with the bar owner and with the art shipper, and then I got back in touch and he said, oh no, he was just kidding around. So there's a psychological cost of basically the anticipation of waiting for the show, the excitement of it, then also dealing with the art reception and talking with people at the art reception. Some people actually have to take beta blockers to go do that, or they get drunk at their own receptions because they have a hard time doing it. So that's part of it. And then working with galleries sometimes is really rough. So let's talk about that for just a minute before I end the video. So I got back into a relationship with another gallery recently, and I had dropped this gallery about 8 or 9 years ago because he told me that I was selling my paintings too inexpensively, and also this gallery wouldn't show my gay artwork, which is the stuff that I sell like crazy, and I'm making a good living doing that. So he called me up and he said, hey, I'd like to have another show with you. Do you have any of those old paintings that are from 10, 15 years ago? And I said, no, I only have these. These are the ones, I sold all those old ones. And he said, oh, well, can you ship them down here? And I thought, oh, so shipping is going to cost me $600-700. Well, so this gallery, which is in Southern California, I got a friend actually who had a van who happened to be traveling down there to take them for free, and I thought, oh, that's cool. But as soon as the artwork got there, and I put out an advertisement about having the show, this guy wrote to me and said, "Oh no, we're not having all of those paintings in the show. We're only having two of the paintings in the show." Then he sent me another email saying, "You didn't wire the backs of these," and I sent them within a day of him asking, and I thought he needed them for a reception. And then this gallery won't put my website on their website as a link. So all of that stuff gets really old working with galleries. And so one of the things that I sort of promote and talk about, especially in the classes that the free classes that I offer on Udemy, and there's a link to that, and it's absolutely for free. And if you go to my blog and read some of my essays about how to make a living as an artist, because I'm making around $75,000 to $80,000 a year as an artist, and that's profit. Okay. I just have a free course to do that because I want to share that with other people, and I don't want you to have to go to gurus and find other art consultants. And one of the things that I am sort of advocating is only sell your work by yourself online or in venues like coffee shops and bars that don't take a cut, because as soon as someone else has their hands in your pie, it reduces, they'll often take 50%. Now, another thing about some of the galleries that I've been talking with some of my friends who are artists are that sometimes galleries want to have you sign exclusive contracts with them, and that they'll even take a cut of everything that you sell online. If a gallery asks you to do that, don't work with that gallery. So if you have any questions or ideas, or you want to consult with me for free, send me an email. I'll even set up a time to talk to you on the phone if you want. I just want to help other artists. And if you happen to be in San Francisco for the next month, look up the Saloon, the Lone Star Saloon. I have the paintings hanging there for the month of July, and I will also be at the art reception July 28th. Thank you.